What's up, guys? This is Bolt Struck with Duck, and the Chargers will not go undefeated this year. So, this is my live reaction to the Chargers' loss to the New York Giants because, of course, they lost to the winless New York Giants. And I know there's a running joke that, Justin Herbert can do no wrong and it's not Justin Herbert's fault. But if that's not a not Justin Herbert's fault kind of game, I don't know what is. I mean, just the injury to Joe Alt is devastating. Obviously, within the game itself, obviously, we don't know the severity of it, but the fact that, both, awesome left tackles for the Chargers are potentially out for a sustained period of time, which, as just a quick positive shout out to the guy who's been filling in, the Austin Deculus, something like that, because he had to fill in last week, I believe it was, and then this week, and he has been honestly solid. So he had one really bad play, but besides that, for being a guy I've never heard of, never knew existed, been pretty solid. But obviously, just the O line depth, if you can even call it that, wasn't there to begin the season. So now it's really biting them in the butt. I mean, Zion Johnson continues to be useless. Obviously, they're still employing Bradley Bozeman, who's been better than last year, but still not a 1-2 punch as far as Bradley Bozeman, Zion Johnson goes that you want on your O line. So just, not good. Herbert was under pressure all day. That's 3 weeks in a row he's at a slow start. To Herbert's credit, maybe it's to Greg Roman's credit as well, it seems like Herbert gets better with his bad O line as the game goes on, because it seems to affect Herbert earlier. So maybe just the fact that he's kind of getting used to the pressure, maybe the scheme changes, but it's just not sustainable. Because again, the Chargers picked it up towards the end of the first half. But again, you can't have the slow starts when your offensive line is just like that. And again, with Herbert getting no help, of course, the one game where Omarion Hampton looks like a first round running back, then like Ladd McConkey is completely useless. Couple huge drops early in the game. He still does not have a touchdown on the year. Say that out loud. If I told you at the end of last year that Ladd McConkey would not have a receiving touchdown or any touchdowns through the first 4 weeks of the season, that would be pretty alarming. I guess you wouldn't expect Quentin Johnston and Keenan Allen to have this many, but point being, Ladd McConkey just has been solid this year. Not a good game today. Just need him to be better than he has been all year long. And again, just between the pressure, it's the drops with Justin Herbert's balls have been kind of an undermentioned storyline all year long. Like, I don't know what the numbers are, but just from the looks, it looks like guys are dropping a lot of balls from Herbert. Even at the end of the game, it would have been a tough catch, but that ball to Quentin Johnston was catchable. Not saying they could have done anything. I think it would have been a horrendously long field goal, but at least you can either take however long that field goal would have been or throw a Hail Mary. Again, tough catch. Quentin Johnston's been excellent, so you can't harp on him too much. But again, just the ultimate, people letting Justin Herbert down game. Again, the quick positives is that Austin Deculus, sorry, I'll learn your name. I've only seen you for 2 games, but he's been solid. Omarion Hampton finally showed flashes. He was able to break off those long runs, which that's what I'd been looking for, right? Because obviously Najee Harris out, but Najee Harris was supposed to be the 3.8 yards a carry bruiser in the goal line back, and then Hampton's supposed to be the young guy, catch some screen passes, break off some long runs, which, speaking of, up until this game, I believe the Chargers had thrown 0 screen passes all year. And back to helping Herbert out is through Herbert's career, which obviously not just Greg Roman, it seems like they do nothing in the quick game to help out Herbert. But today they threw a couple screens. They threw just a quick little dump off to Quentin Johnston at the line of scrimmage. He got some yards, and it's things like that where if you can't get the run game going, which they did today, but if you can't get the run game going like they haven't been able to, you got to throw some screens. Because that was the problem at the beginning of the game, again, with the slow start, is those bootlegs, those play actions did not work because the Chargers have not been running the ball. So if you can't run the ball, how else do you get, the defensive line to not be as aggressive? You throw screens because you make their aggressiveness work against them, right? They come up the field, running backs pass you, let's throw a screen. So I love that they started incorporating that more. And then ta-da, throwing some screens, getting the pass game going, that allowed the running game to open up. Again, I always joke that the Chargers should pass to set up the run, but, that's essentially what they did today. It was just the screen game got going, the run seemed to open up, and then the pass game seemed to open up. So it all goes hand in hand. But again, Hampton looked awesome. The makeshift offensive line, something's got to change. Fingers crossed that Joe Alt comes back. If he can't come back soon, even if he comes back, tomorrow, they got to be scouting, O-line trades, free agent O-lines, because they got to do something. And again, just that pick to Dexter Lawrence, not a ton you can do about that. That other pick he threw, McConkey got screened by his own guy. I think it was from Tyler Conklin, and that's another area where it's like, you went into the season, it's like, clearly this tight end group is not good. The rookie played great last week, really nowhere to be found this week. But obviously he's young, give him time. But, the veterans they brought in, it's like, you couldn't have found anyone else. So, look O-line, look tight end. Because even, through all of these injuries, the Chargers are still 3-1. They're undefeated in the division. And Tui Pelotu looked awesome with Khalil Mack being out. So, again, they're working through some major injuries. So try to upgrade at O-line, try to upgrade at tight end. Fingers crossed for Joe Alt. And 3-1, 3-0 in the division, 3-0 in the AFC. Things could be worse. It's obviously, any loss to the New York Giants is an embarrassing loss, especially when they are winless. But you would rather them lose that game than, the one against Denver that they stole from the hands of Denver last week. So those are my positive, mindset. Again, obviously things could be worse, so it's on to the next week. But let me know down in the comments below, what was the most concerning about this loss to you, whether it was about today in general or moving forward for the future. And make sure to like the video if you liked the video, subscribe for more Chargers content, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks.